back to the Studio Reverie live recordings of Arc 6. We're doing chapters 45 and 46 today. Thank you all so much for your donations. So thank you, Greenie. Thank you, Jack of all Trades, for the gifted memberships. Welcome on in, Zero, to the hosting company. We appreciate you guys coming in. Thank you all for being here again this week. Last call for our auditions for Arc 7. They close in 2 days. So that is June 27th at 3 p.m. EST. We will be locking down those auditions then. So if you haven't done it by then, we will not accept them further. I think we just surpassed 500 auditions, which is amazing. So cool. But we do have to start our callback process. So if you want a chance, do it now. Do it right now. I think that's all it for my announcements. Podcast will hopefully be back this week after I'm feeling a bit better after this school year. Without further ado, let's bring the cast on. All right, you guys are live. Oh.
And us.
Sorry.
Just lampshading.
I don't even know what that means. Let's introduce ourselves. Al, you're first.
Yeah, from the top.
From the top. Make it drop.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. I am Al, the guy in the basement for everyone who is new here because of we seem to get a lot of new people, huh? But yes, I am the guy that is eternally in the basement. This is a bit that has to be reiterated every time. What am I talking about? It's not a bit, it's reality. I'm in the basement.
Sorry about that. I had to silence him. Hi, I'm Connor. I'm one of the hosts of ReZero Podcast, your voice of Julius and Rom. Still, at least until today. When did you announce that today's last day for auditions?
No, it's in 2 days. What are you trying to do? Close it
two-
early?
oh.
You're trying to cut the competition?
No, I thought it cut off at midnight tonight. My bad. I'm wrong. All right. Well, last
27
chance regardless.
Hello. I am Carmen. I'm freely out of quarantine, and I will be your Meili for today.
Hello, I'm Kyles. I'm Amelia. I'm bringing back an old character. I'm here. We're holding on.
Hello all, I'm Tealdi. I am narrating, I'm filling in for Betty, and I am also bringing back a character today. Fun times.
Yay!
And hello everyone! Wolf here, I'm your Subaru, and I'm also a co-host of the ReZero podcast. And also, I am so glad that the deadline is the 27th, because I need to get my Groovy edition in. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're not gonna join
Do
the
it.
swarm of 30-something Chisha auditions that we had?
That's
40.
like 40.
It's
It's
40.
43, and then
I mean,
Todd is
I am-
46.
I am considering auditioning for every male character just for the fun of it, to be fair.
Do it! Join me! Join me in my madness! I
Do it
submitted
now!
monster
Get
noises
on Rem,
today,
get on
so
Rem,
I'm
get
at
on Rem.
41.
We have to have a conversation of Wolf Rem and Wolf Subaru.
I want her so bad, but I won't ever get her. It's okay, though. I'll just cry about
You don't know that.
The-
Maybe nobody shows up to the callbacks.
It's bullshit.
Maybe no one shows up to the callbacks. And you're the only one there for Ren.
There's already 4 better. They
But-
are Rem.
But you could eliminate those 4 people. Think about it. If they
Yeah.
don't show up to the callbacks, you know.
Man,
That's
unexpected
true.
Technical difficulties. It's so unfortunate.
What if
Oh,
they-
It's so
no.
nice of you guys not to hint at me
Disappear or
just
something.
saying I get a call back and just didn't actually invite them.
Oh,
No,
no.
of course
That's
I
true,
would
you could
invite
do
them.
that.
Technical
Actually-
difficulties. I
I
already
mean,
gave you
I was
one
saying
out.
that you make
You're
them
so
disappear,
nice.
but you could also do that, I guess.
All I'm saying is Discord has been finicky lately. If they didn't receive the invite properly, then that's not our fault.
Oh, what a
That's
shame.
Man.
fair. Nah,
True.
they sound like
It
Rem
was
suck
a
to sit
message
there.
from the Discord gods.
The Discord got. Well, they did message me earlier.
They have spoken.
Mm-hmm.
But what if
Same.
you pretend that message never came through, or if you just dox them?
TLDR, everybody should audition for Rem because Rem is life.
Well, they should actually
And
audition for Groovy.
what a
because
fucking
Groovy is fucking
spoiler.
awesome.
Audition
out of
for
my
everybody.
mouth. Audition for everybody. Move on before I
Do it
ruin this for
all.
everyone.
Groovy goblet.
Groovy goblet.
In this,
doesn't even
regardless,
have
so
please, if you want to audition, do it.
yes.
Totally do it. It's great.
So who in the chat is excited for more of Arc 1 but worse Subaru? He's
The
been
worst.
great these last few
What?
chapters.
That's
Let's
crazy.
go.
If we remember,
He's-
last we left off, he probably just murdered someone.
He
Mm.
absolutely
Rip.
did.
Ripperoni, pepperoni.
The second life he's taken in this world after Betelgeuse.
There were no witnesses, including himself. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but was it
It's
really
the perfect
bad
crime.
that Meili died?
Did it really happen? Did it
What do you
really happen
mean?
if no one saw
I'm
it?
just saying.
No, we
she's,
love
she's a bad
Common.
assassin if she gets taken out first.
Yeah.
We love Common. We don't love Meili.
I love Meili.
But
I
remember,
love
voice
it.
actors are not their characters, so it's okay.
TLD having to remind us of that before today.
Yeah. Well, it's a thing
I
that
sure hope
comes
nothing
up.
goes
So
wrong.
just remember, voice actors are not their characters.
Retweet
Yeah,
that.
the internet has a hard time remembering that a lot of the time.
Shout out to the cooked Genshin community.
Oh. Mm.
Y'all ready to get
Ooh.
started?
I'm
so Yes.
ready.
I hope you
This
are.
chapter
Common.
title is
Okay, Meili.
not great for Subaru's story.
Yeah, this is not.
This is not going to hold up well in court.
That's fine.
Well,
Yeah. Imagine having chapter titles like moving on to stages of your life, and you hear them read out, and it's just, oh, I'm kind of cooked. Yeah,
they're gonna get me.
you
flat
wake
further
up,
back
you
in
get out of bed, it's
95.
like, yeah, it's like how you get up out of your bed. It's like you wake up, stretch your back. It's like, oh, get ready to a great day. Chapter 42, the disastrous day.
Well, it's
Well-
like, nope, back in bed. Skip this
The
one.
day
Yeah,
banks
I'm going back to
crashed.
bed.
The
Excellent.
exploding cars.
Yeah, you hear an
The
explosion
unexpected
out of your, outside of your
aircraft
house.
in the bedroom.
They hit my house
All
Chapter
right.
50, Werewolf
with a
Rape.
plane. Chapter 50.
Conscripted.
That's a good one to leave off on. We all good for the chapter?
Oh yeah. Oh, we're ready.
Yep.
Arc 6, Chapter 45, Embrace of the Guilty. A painful red drop of blood dripped down his right arm with the black spots pattern. Fortunate or not, it seemed that his right arm's durability was no different than that of a normal human's body, despite having undergone such a drastic change. If he dug his nails in, he would feel pain. With enough force, the skin would be torn and the blood would flow. Even though it felt like blood from that wound had stopped quickly, it really did not feel that different. He proceeded to wipe the blood from his palm and then pulled down his sleeve, leaving a blurry trace of blood on his right arm. Even though it had been his own doing, it was something he did not wish to see for long. Naturally, he had also brought down the sleeve of his left arm to conceal the inscription left there. Natsuki Subaru was here.
In any case, I need to hurry.
Already, he had wasted quite a lot of time in that room. Meili's corpse was still laying in the center of the room, but at least there was no longer any trace of what he had done to her. If he could, he would have liked to avoid defiling her corpse even more, and mourn her death. But there was still one last thing he must do. With it providing little resistance, he put both of his hands under the girl's armpits, and Subaru dragged the girl's body to a corner of the room. There, he found what could be the original equipment of the abandoned room. It could be called a table made of stone, or perhaps those were beddings. For now, he gently hid Meili's dead body behind that huge stone square slab. Sorry, he thought, although, despite apologizing to Meili from the bottom of his heart, Subaru still concealed her fate. After all, were he to confide what he had concealed, who in the world would be able to defend Subaru in that situation? With Subaru being unable to discern the true intentions of Natsuki Subaru, who else could?
There's no defense. Even if I wasn't the one who killed Meili, the murder was definitely on my own hands.
He was not aware about how criminal investigations were handled in this world, but once the jury saw Meili's nails and the wounds on Subaru's wrists, they would unanimously convict him. And Subaru had no grounds to challenge nor appeal such a decision. Were it to ever come to that, the only thing he could do was try to avoid the trial. No, he had already covered up the crime. He was aware that the course of actions he took was not the correct one, neither was it the best one. However, Subaru possessed no alternatives. He no longer knew who he could trust, who he could doubt. However, if there was a single thing that he was convinced of, it was...
Next time we meet, Meili, you will be the only one I won't suspect.
Annihilated, then strangled, and so this was the second time Subaru had found Meili already dead. At this point, he suspected Meili less than anyone else, at the very least. But that admission mattered not. There was no way to get any kind of information from her anymore. The closed circle mystery. In other words, a cliché where only the dead would be removed from the pool of suspects. However, as a detective, Natsuki Subaru was equipped with a rule-breaking ability, Return by Death, which had caused time to be rewound whenever he was killed. Anyone, no matter how useless, could become a renowned detective capable of dealing with any tragedy with that ability.
Though, the detective being the culprit is also something predictable of these mystery tropes.
It was regrettable. As no matter how great Return by Death might be, if the theory that the culprit was Natsuki Subaru was sound, the incidents would repeat many times over, and stopping him would prove to be a very difficult task. A different personality of the detective being the criminal was a pretty tired mystery trope. But, having noticed that, if the detective just threw himself off the cliff, the case would be solved, no? Return by Death, and the detective himself as the culprit. When both of these meet, the situation would become unsolvable. A so-called inescapable helix maze.
This isn't the time to be talking! In any case, right now, I gotta buy time.
It was not a problem that would be solved with time, but there was definitely something that time would bring along. Believing in that, Subaru wished to be freed from this dead end, and so stood up. Leaving those circumstances aside, Subaru caressed Meili's still forehead one last time. Surely, she would wish for him not to touch her anymore. Her forehead felt cold to the touch, as if it was rejecting Subaru. And so, after desperately concealing Meili's murder, Subaru left the room. Then, looking at the right and left of the aisle, as he left the site slowly...
Ah, Subaru. Thank God. So you were here.
It was Amelia's sudden voice that made Subaru's shoulder hitch up, as he turned back to look at her. Carrying herself with a sprinting pace, she tilted her head to Subaru, whose cheeks had turned rigid.
Sorry. Did I scare you?
I was surprised! Well, it's just because it was so sudden! What happened, Amelia-chan?
Huh? I was just walking around the tower to see whether I could do something until lunch. Rather than that, Subaru,
Yeah?
just now, were you playing around again?
Subaru inhaled sharply at hearing Amelia's mysterious question. Her amethyst eyes were staring right at Subaru, but Subaru did not know the meaning of her question. It was true that his voice had been quaking, but what he had stated was supposed to be an incomplete yet sufficient answer. Well, rather than Amelia's gleeful eyes, Subaru tasted a sense of uncomfortableness and gulped down his bitter saliva. In the room behind them was Meili's dead body, cold and lifeless. Although he had made sure to keep it out of plain sight, were someone to search through the room, her body would be discovered within minutes. so leaving this place was his top priority.
Sorry, I need to go to the washroom for a second.
Sure.
Hurriedly leaving the room, Subaru left words that could easily be misunderstood. He must get away from Amelia as soon as possible, and go to a place where he may kill time as much as he can. From there, he could take care of the wound on his right arm.
Amelia-chan! I'm going to the washroom! Why? Are you coming with me?
I mean, we'll all get together for lunch anyway. So, don't you think it would be nice if we were together for a while? Don't worry, I'll be outside the door.
I'm not worried about you hearing the sound of, peeing. But...
Amelia stood in front of Subaru, who wanted to part ways with her, and looked at his face. Good arguments were good arguments, but good arguments were something that could make the person they were directed at feel pain, basically. This case was no exception, and Subaru was left without anything to say to that fair reasoning. However, on the other side of his struggles, Subaru carefully conjectured about Amelia's intentions. For what purpose had Amelia said that she wished to accompany Subaru? Still, Amelia looked completely plain to Subaru, who was looking at her from the corner of his eyes. Her lovable face made it seem like there was no plot in mind, but, in fact, she was one of the enemies he suspected most. Subaru had not seen the dead bodies of either Amelia nor Beatrice last time around, when everyone else had been killed. Although it was true that Natsuki Subaru's intentions were unknown because of the wounds in his arms, no matter how much chaos Natsuki Subaru could cause, it was not possible to produce such a situation alone. Shala, Echidna, Rom, killing Julius and Meili as well, and eventually tearing down the tower with the power of shadows, and finally beheading him, had been someone. There still existed someone in this tower who Subaru was not aware of.
Subaru, are you okay? Actually, you still aren't back to normal, are you?
I'm fine. I just got lost in my thoughts for a bit.
Really? But you don't look too well.
Suddenly, Amelia reached out for Subaru. Unable to brush her away, he allowed Amelia to fiddle with his cheeks as she pleased. Subaru's brow furrowed due to the ticklish sensation.
You're looking quite, closely.
That's right. I'm looking closely. It feels like lately I've been following you around with my eyes a lot. I don't know why, but it's strange.
I guess so. It's really strange, isn't it?
He was carefully keeping an eye on Amelia's every move. Amelia's smiling hand was touching Subaru's face. The situation would drastically change if Amelia's hand were to suddenly slit Subaru's throat in the blink of an eye. There were no guarantees that she would not. Or rather, she did not even need to do that. With the strength of Amelia's arm, it would be possible for her to easily break Subaru's neck bones. However, there was no maliciousness or hostility to be felt from her hands, and Subaru was at a loss on what to think. After all, Subaru, he was only a student in peaceful Japan, who had been on the way home from a convenience store. So it was only natural that he would not find these feelings reliable. Things like people's hostility or malice, he had almost no experience with these things. Subaru's familiarity with moods that made even far-away people feel awkward, and with a silence of apathetic indifference that could not even be called cold disdain. Neither of these were able to hurt the loner Natsuki Subaru. Henceforth, he did not know if the feeling he was getting from the girl's amethyst eyes in front of him was genuine or fake. And if he didn't know... He wondered what kind of face she would make if he were to confess everything. How great would it feel if he were to screw up that beautiful face she had that made it seem like she had grown up only ever seeing splendid things, as if there was nothing to worry about in the world.
The Natsuki Subaru you were worried about is nowhere to be found. No, that's not it. if I were to say that he's a cruel, crazed murderer?
By the way, about Meili.
A strangled noise emerged from Subaru's throat as his eyes opened wide. Why had Meili's name been mentioned here? He could not hide his examination of surprise, not in the slightest. It had been a complete surprise attack. If Amelia's aim was to gauge Subaru's reaction, he had fallen for it, hook, line, and sinker. However, Amelia had her eyes off Subaru. Her gaze had dropped down towards the floor. She was not looking towards the aisleway that he had come from. It felt more as if she was just looking around the whole tower. And following from that, Amelia showed a slight hint of hesitation and said,
I wonder if I was too short-tempered with her. When we return safe and sound from this tower, we'll talk about what we can do about Meili. Of course, what she did a year ago was terrible, and I understand Otto-kun's point that we shouldn't believe her so easily. But it was thanks to Meili that we were able to cross the sand dunes. And if she had been plotting something against us, I think it would have been done before we reached this tower.
Pinching the cuffs of her clothes, Amelia carefully stated her thoughts. Although he felt he should take her story with a grain of salt. Amongst the people in this tower, Meili's position was special. She had apparently originally been an assassin hired to take Amelia and Beatrice's lives. She had failed in her duty, leading to her being their captive. However, she had made full use of her special ability, acquired from birth, accompanying them on their current journey, thus contributing to the objectives of her former targets.
Pardon, I guess.
Even if I were to let her free, I think everyone would oppose it. But maybe we can find some other place to put her outside of her gloomy imprisonment room, right? Of course, we'll talk to Meili herself and see if she wants it. It'd be difficult if I got ahead of myself and ended up being hated by her.
Hurriedly shaking her hand, Amelia insisted that it had been just one of her opinions. Perhaps she had put enough thought to hold and convey the story out to its fullness. Here and there, room for tweaks could be glimpsed, assuming that it would be rebutted.
Were these Amelia's true intentions?
Would it be okay to believe her? At least until now, Amelia had not been hostile towards Subaru even a single time. No, if he were to say it, no one had shown any hostility towards Subaru. Beatrice, Echidna, Rom, Julius, Meili, none of them had shown any hostility towards Subaru. The only certain things were that a criminal had killed Subaru by pushing him from the top of the staircase, that a criminal had slaughtered everyone in the tower, and that a criminal had lopped off his head, and that Natsuki Subaru had killed Meili. Only these evil acts should be held in contempt. So then, could he trust Amelia? Could he believe in her purity, which was like that of fresh snow that did not know of impurity? Amelia had put so much enthusiasm into her speech, whilst he had been fretting about Meili, which his hands had killed. Still, he wondered if she would believe him.
So stupid.
Huh?
I said such bullshit. I should have known. Short-tempered. Indeed, in these situations, can we really be talking about future prospects?
It felt like a stalemate in all directions. He had no room to worry about anyone else. And that especially applied to hearing the future plans for the girl who had already perished. Even if he closed his eyes, pretending not to know about her death, would it even comfort him? Cursing, Subaru bit his lips right after he had uttered those words. He had said such stupid things. Because of the momentum of his emotions, he couldn't avoid having thrust upon Amelia words that would only make her suspicious. There was no justification for his actions. He had just been venting his anger, like a child's tantrum, that...
Subaru! What happened to you so suddenly? Even if you're in a bad mood, it's no good to speak like that.
Astonished and shocked, he hung his head down as his emotions gnawed at him, and tears started to pour out of him in sobs. Amelia, however, having anticipated such a reaction, vigorously clasped Subaru's cheeks with both hands and looked straight into his black eyes.
If you're going to be sulky and emotional like this, speak up. Either to me or Beatrice. If Subaru's in trouble, I'll be in trouble together with him. But don't carry it all by yourself. Quit moping around by yourself. Stop trying to do things alone. That's something Roswell would do in bad times. Don't copy him.
Giving it her all, Amelia turned towards Subaru and continued to speak. And just after that, she took her hands away from a stunned Subaru's face and suddenly pulled his head over to herself. She held Subaru's head against her chest in an embrace and started to gently stroke it.
Do you understand? In my heart, I'm not mad at you at all. I won't be disillusioned with whatever it is. So, you can tell me.
He was pressed against the feeling of soft, warm skin. Beyond that feeling of warmth, the rhythm of life was steadily ticking away within her. It was quite gentle, rather like a lullaby which a baby would listen to. Subaru let out a strangled sob. In that moment, Subaru's heart had lurched with the feeling of an intense shame. Having done all these things until now, having said such terrible things, she was still this gentle with him. He had doubted her. He had blindly hated this poor girl. What had been the point of all of it? Did they really exist? The one who had been planning to kill Subaru? Plunging to his death, had it really been a simple accident? It hadn't been something somebody had done on purpose. Maybe someone had inadvertently tripped and pushed him. There was no evil person inside this tower. The only one possessing a foul heart, ugly and dangerous, was Natsuki Subaru, and Natsuki Subaru. Properly speaking, wasn't he just an insolent outsider to this world? Someone who should have never been?
Amelia! I'm...
He didn't know how to tell her. Only he wanted to convey it to her, to confide in her, to lay it bare. Losing his memories, what had happened to Meili, running back in time every time he died. Everything he would say may not be believable, but it was possible that she would believe some of it. If she believed him, a way to break out of this deadlock might be found. If just that were found, Subaru would... Amelia-sama! Barasu! It happened at the moment he had tried to somehow squeeze his thoughts out of his shivering head. A sharp, imminent voice came from the side, as if filling over Subaru's anguish. Subaru couldn't see the owner of the voice due to Amelia's embrace. Then he heard Amelia above him, who confirmed the person's identity by murmuring, Rom.
What's wrong? I'm talking to Subaru about something really important.
That is something Rom understands just by looking at it. But kindly stop it. This is an urgent matter.
Okay.
The sound of footsteps drew closer, and as soon as they did, Amelia nervously let go of Subaru. Subaru aggressively wiped away at his face with his sleeve, getting rid of the distant feeling of warmth and the zeal in the corner of his eyes. After that, both he and Amelia turned to face Rom. Either for being regarded as uncool or whether her timing was the worst, he wanted to strike Rom with a swell of emotions brewing in his mind. Even though he had just reflected on it, he felt resentful for not being able to stand straight again immediately. However, Rom's appearance transmitted that she could not afford to do things such as teasing them for them embracing each other, or such as considering Subaru's mixed emotion after seeing them.
Ram, what's wrong?
It is an urgent matter. Please, come to the third floor library immediately. Beatrice-sama has found something terrible.
Beatrice did?
To the surprised Amelia, Rom briefly nodded as affirmation. Then, as she turned away from Subaru and Amelia, Anastasia-sama... No, was it a kidnap? Anyway, Rom will go search for her and Julius. Barasu, you go with Amelia-sama.
Yeah. Got it.
Subaru nodded his head whilst being unable to form a reply to her forceful attitude. Without even waiting for an answer, Rom kicked the door and sprinted away from the two. Surprised by the situation, Subaru turned to Amelia.
Ram said that...
Let's hurry. Ram said it's serious. Something terrible must have happened. Subaru, I won't forget about what we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Subaru listened to Amelia and nodded feebly, her being the only one thinking about that. Already, from his guilt towards Meili to his sense of urgency regarding the situation, all of Subaru's plan to tackle it on his own had been torn away. With that, Subaru took off with Amelia, heading for the third floor Taigeta at a brisk pace. Welcoming them after running up the long staircase was the Library of the Dead, boasting a huge collection of books.
Well, you've come, I suppose.
Beatrice, standing in front of the stairs behind the bookshelves holding the countless books of the dead, welcomed Subaru. The girl, with her short arms and a peculiar pattern in her eyes, breathed out a tired sigh with a frown.
Beatrice, Ron told us to come. You found something terrible, is what she said?
Only, it cannot be said that's good news, in fact. Rather, it's something bad, I suppose.
Saying that, Beatrice swung her head to Amelia's question. Then she turned her blue eyes towards Subaru.
Eddie was looking into the library of Taigeta since this morning, in fact. While Subaru was out cold, Betty was trying to analyze this room, though its mechanisms are nothing like the Forbidden Libraries, I suppose.
Well, regardless of the introduction, what happened? Please, tell.
Subaru, panting lightly having run up the stairs, urged her to get to the point. Hearing those words, Beatrice shut her eyes for a moment, and, slowly, she pointed towards one of the bookshelves, one that was diagonally behind her.
The photo from the top. The book on the far right.
The third row.
On the far right?
In accordance with what Beatrice had pointed out, Subaru and Amelia came to the bookshelf, repeating her words. The bookshelf was packed with books, the characters written on the spine illegible to Subaru being from a different world. As usual, he could only think of them as hieroglyphs. So even the title of the book, which Beatrice wished to point out to Subaru and the others, was not known to him. At least as long as it came from this library, it was certain that it was a book of the dead.
No way.
Amelia, who had been standing right next to him, spilled these words out. Looking at that, Subaru's cheeks stiffened at hearing her stunned reaction. Such astonishment had delayed the sadness which was to come straight after. Just what was it that had punched her heart with such force? Shivering, her lips trembled right next to Subaru, clearly in shock. And so, Amelia spoke.
Meili Portro.
And that's the end. Good job, everyone.
Oh, thank God, I thought it cut out.
No.
I was gonna repeat.
Wait, just let a bit of silence sit.
It's like, it's heavy. Just let it rest.
Let her rest. Let her
Yeah,
rip.
he's cooked.
She's cooked. Subaru's cooked.
He's cook.
It's stressful playing this Subaru.
You did really well. The exasperation and surprise was very good.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Pachi.
Sheer panic.
It's very weird playing with old Subaru as well.
It is. Especially old Subaru that is already in such a worse predicament than he has been in up until Arc 3.
Yeah, I've tried to infuse as
Dire
much of my Arc
straits.
1 Subaru into this as possible, but now I'm starting to go cuckoo bonanzas.
Summon the ghost
As
of the
was-
past! Wait, that was a mistake! No!
Whoa, we're
Oh god, he cut into my arm!
there. It's
Ah,
gotta
frick.
be better by the end of the book, doesn't it? Right? I hope.
Maybe. What's the end of this book? Let me double check.
We got 90 chapters. Is it 90?
90.
90
We're
or half for the
halfway!
arc.
Woo!
Yeah, over halfway. He's got to
Yes.
come back. He's got it, right?
He's got plenty of time.
Man.
It's ridiculous if he doesn't, honestly.
Yeah,
Literally.
that's the end of the arc, though. The end of the book is not necessarily then. That only goes to 54. We're only halfway through the book.
Yeah.
Surely it only lasts a singular book. I mean,
Yeah. Oh my god, the meds are finally kicking in. I thought I was going to be able to do that chapter. I won't lie. Oh, I'm glad it worked out in the end.
You okay?
Yes. You know when you just get hit with cramps so bad you can't breathe? Yeah.
Yes.
I did it!
Yeah.
Yeah!
Yeah.
You just power through. It's like, oh, here comes Wolverine. No, but you can't let your voice let them know.
You can't let them know. It's okay.
Until
Conceal,
after
don't
that.
feel.
Don't let it show! After the one time I threw up from Capella, I don't think anything could be worse than that. So,
No,
I'll
Yeah.
take it.
that's a watershed moment.
That was. That was crazy.
Mm,
And now I will never drink tea on an empty stomach again, thanks to your wise words.
mm.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Do we analyze this chapter or would you keep going with the crazy? Because we're about to get more crazy.
I mean,
I
I
can't
was just
believe
gonna
Rom
say, he was
cockblocks
fucking
Subaru
cooked.
again.
Yeah, fuck.
yeah.
So rude.
Get a
yeah,
room,
after you've been,
Rom.
like, just a bit slower.
I think what I will mention about this chapter is, despite how short it is, I really appreciate Tappei making it so bouncy in terms of tension, because there's points where you're like, okay, Subaru's calmed down, he's gonna try and calmly solve the situation, because even though he thinks he's a murderer right now, he obviously doesn't want to get in trouble for it, right?
Yeah.
But then comes out the door and fucking Amelia's there, the person he suspects the most in that moment. She then throws away all of his suspicions, so now he feels like the worst person on the fucking planet because he just realizes that it was a coping mechanism and there's no one evil in the tower.
Except maybe him.
Except maybe him. Exactly.
Yeah.
And, ooh! And then to think, okay, this is my salvation. I'm eventually going to be able to work myself up to talk to Amelia about it and get some help and understand what's going on. And then, boom,
Arusu.
there's a problem.
Barsu,
So you can cry in Amelia's breast later.
This is a situation where Subaru is now constantly on the defensive, on the I need to run, completely reactive. He isn't actively doing anything here. And in this situation, he is locked, is my best way of putting it. There's nothing, running away will not solve any issues here.
Funny, because he's never had the, even in Arc 1 or 2, he's never had the intrinsic thought of run away.
I think he had it in Arc 1, but it wasn't something he was seriously contending with, I think.
Yeah.
It was
He's
only done it.
No, I gotta save Amelia. In Arc 2,
He's only done it
just like-
twice at that point.
Yeah.
Which was when Rom was coming after him and when Otto died to the White Whale.
So to see a Subaru that's completely broken immediately to the point of I need to run, I need to go home. Mostly Subaru would not be thinking things like I have to get home, I have to see mum and dad. Not at that stage of the story for normal Arc 1 Subaru, so stuff is going wrong.
Before, he never even, called for his mom when he died. And then, bam.
Well, before, he hadn't it hadn't been like so recently that he had been separated from his mom either.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
With any slow death, at least. He didn't get the slow death until Rem started torturing him, and at that point it had been like weeks and weeks that he had spent there through Return by Death.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Rem torture was, I think that was a bit more than short. Or
Rem
even
Twister.
more than long.
Well, Rem
Not the Rem
Twister's
Twister,
later.
I meant the-
Well, yeah.
the
Rem was twisting him.
Rem beating him up for like
That's
hours.
torture
Like,
Rem.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she beat him up for like 6 hours or so, from noon till dusk.
Noon till dusk.
Yeah, because like he set out at noon around like after lunch, and then one of her lines is like near the end where she's wrapping it up is like, "Well, I think it's time for me to go make dinner."
Mm-hmm.
So she was
Rem
torturing him for
almost
hours
missed
on end.
mealtime preparation because of you. This is unacceptable.
Die!
That's what the real reason why Rom came out to end it early, was to make sure that Rem could get back in time.
Yeah.
I don't
Rem,
want
if
steamed
you-
yams
if you don't
again,
hurry up with the intruder-
Rem.
It's like, look,
If you
I
don't hurry
need
up
your
with the
help with
intruder,
this.
we're gonna have
Wrap
to
it
eat
up.
coal.
Wrap that
We're
shit
gonna
up.
have to eat charcoal. Oof. Luckily, he's not getting tortured here. Otherwise, that would be even worse.
I mean, he's kind of getting mentally tortured.
He's getting mentally tortured, but at least it's not
Like,
like
he has
one person
many
coming out and
forms.
just actually, beating him in a corner.
Yeah.
There's always time.
Think, oh, there's always time. Yeah, someone just
We
turns
got
on
time.
him. Who would even do that at this point? Reed?
That would just randomly turn on
Look,
him?
I had this weird dream where I stabbed you with a chopstick, you prick. Come over here so I can test it, you prick.
It's come over here so I can do it, you prick.
That was so good. Taylor, I gotta say, since we've been listening, we were slowly going through all the character auditions, but you have been able to capture every single character perfectly, even if you are not the right voice fit. It is insane. You
Yeah.
just did it again with Reed.
I told you I contain multitudes.
I contain multitudes.
No one knows
Fine.
my depths, not even me.
It's actually kind of
Let me throw
concerning.
it out there.
Every day's an adventure.
Help me!
Help me.
I am drowning in personality. Please throw me out.
I got no
Copious and
power.
overflowing.
It's too much to contain.
Help me!
This is where we discover that Taildy has the Let's Switch factor and it can let her impersonate anyone perfectly.
Ayo.
Oh God, I
Yeah,
wish.
dude.
Do you know how much I would make from voice acting if I could?
Oh, that's so true.
Dear
True.
Lord, I wish.
Infinite money glitch.
Yeah, just right there. It's like boom.
Done.
That's
Well,
That's why they
Can
call
you-
me
can
for
you be
the
Joe
for the
Biden
audio
and
books.
say,
It's like you only need to pay one person.
One person.
There is a,
there's a-
there's a Batman villain that is that Clayface is a professional actor before and after he gets transformed.
Ooh, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Right, yeah.
that makes sense.
Luckily, she's not a villain then, jeez.
See,
He's not in
It
the.
could've been
He's
so
not in the
much
original
around
worse.
killing
comics.
people.
I just sound like I do. I don't actually. I ain't got time for that. I got 4 kids.
4 kids, no
I
time for
got
murder.
time to be killing people.
You're busy.
It's crazy.
This house won't keep itself together.
Mm-hmm.
Valid.
Valid.
The chores never end.
No, they never do.
Nope.
I can't go murder people at night. I have chores to do.
Who's going to clean these dishes? Damn.
I gotta clean the dishes.
Clean and wash and
That's
wash
funny.
and clean. Yeah, 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 yeah.
This is why Mom doesn't fucking love you!
Jesus
I've
Christ.
seen that clip.
Absolute classic.
That's great. It is. Ugh.
You ready, Common?
Yeah.
I think,
Time is
Meili
Oh!
launches away like a rocket.
I
So
think
happy
the,
she just went to the stars.
the viewers are gonna have a fun time immediately with the chapter title.
Yay.
Huzzah!
Are you ready, mystery character 1 and 2?
Are you ready, Mr.
Yes.
Krabs? Hi.
Are you ready, boy? In quotes.
Boy.
Boy.
Yeah.
Boy.
That's how it was labeled at the bottom until I went and fixed it. It was all
right.
just boy,
Kratos
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, boy.
which is very funny because it was boy and woman. When one of them is
Mhm.
19,
Wait,
the
hold
other is
on.
11.
Hold on.
yeah.
Teenager, you could argue that's still technically not an adult.
Hello, boy.
Correct.
Boy man.
Hello, boy.
Should we now refer to him as boy?
Hi, lady!
For a second, I thought you were calling me by my name. I was like, Chaldy, what?
No, no. No, I wouldn't.
My
I'm
government
doxing you
name.
live on stream.
Everyone knows my name. It ain't a
No,
surprise there.
Yeah, it's Kylie Mills, right?
Shut the fuck up.
Mm.
Shut the fuck up. It is Kylie. She's Kaylee. Let's make it clear.
Just for clarification.
I thought it was Volcanica.
Oh.
Ah! I come back on
Huh?
Friday. Blazers. Just a self plug.
All right, Common, you ready to do this?
Are we
Narration
ready,
time.
guys?
Let's do
Fucking
it.
do this! Child murder! Yeah!
Whoop,
So
whoop.
says Common, the one who is murdered.
I mean, obviously, they're the ones to give the best feedback if they're ready or not. So there we go.
True.
Now
True.
do it.
Are you ready to be dead? Yeah!
Yeah!
Yes!
Ted,
right.
good stuff.
Yeah.
And take us away.
All right. Arc 6, Chapter 46. Meili Portro. Meili Portro. Staring at the binding of the book, as Amelia muttered that, Subaru became shocked. His eyes shot open. He glared at the binding of the book. The letters written there. Subaru could not read them at all. However, here, now, there was no reason for Subaru to put on a pretext and think that Amelia was shaking without meaning. As for the book before his eyes, the Book of the Dead's title, why was it Meili's name? There was no room to doubt this fact. He still was unable to speak. With stiff cheeks, Subaru had his back break out in a cold sweat. Inside his skull, his brain was desperately screaming one thing and one thing only. Why? Why is there a book with Meili's name here? Why did this library that keeps records of the dead have the girl's book ready that quickly? Why is it that in a library this vast, they found Meili's book so easily? Why is it this had to happen the moment Subaru felt like he could trust Amelia out of everyone in the tower?
TLD, I might need to refresh the page.
Dang it, sorry.
That's cool.
Because I had it. Oh, a little bit. Okay, sorry. Apologies, technical difficulties. They happen. We deal with them. We roll with them. Everything is fine.
You got this.
Apologies. And here we go. Why was it that fate just can't forgive Natsuki Subaru? Why? Why? Why?
Why? Why? Why? Why? Why? Why? Why? Why? Why? Why? Why? Why? Why? Why? Why? Why? Why? Why? Why? Why? Why? Why? Why? Why? Why? Why? Why? Why?
Beatrice, did you check the contents of the book?
While his head was filled with copious amounts of why, those words rang awfully clearly inside his eardrums. With Beatrice being probed by Amelia, he raised his face in a snap. She asked Beatrice while continuing to lay against the bookshelf, glaring at the book in question. As far as Subaru had heard about the books of the dead found in this library, if one were acquainted with the person in the book and touched it, then the memories of their life would pour into their head. Though it was a magical book with quite the chilling ability, it was not the fantasy tone part of the story that would become a problem in this place. It was a more realistic one. Looking at the records of Meili's life meant that they would supposedly see the records of her last moments. In other words, they would see who it was that strangled her. Situationally speaking, Subaru had killed Meili with his own 2 hands, but he did not doubt that Natsuki Subaru had been the one to carry it out. But only Subaru could come to that distinction. The memories acted somewhat like video footage, such as the footage one could get from crime prevention cameras around potential crime scenes. You won't be able to expect them to follow such a distinction. In addition, in this loop, Subaru had concealed his memory loss from Amelia and the others. Subaru's crime would become clear to them from the memories. And once that point was reached, he would have to reveal his memory. Such ad hoc behavior would only sound like a bad excuse for someone else to do it. Naturally, Amelia and the others would think the same of Subaru. But if Beatrice had anticipated this, and had already referred to the memory about Meili's death... I haven't checked yet, I suppose.
Is that so?
It's natural that I didn't, in fact. I have no choice but to handle it carefully, I suppose. To begin with, I don't even know whether this Meili's book is about the one we know, in fact. If it really is that girl's book.
Meili's inside this tower. Oh no, we have to look for her right away.
Her complexion changing, Amelia tried to break off into a run at hearing Beatrice's words. However, Beatrice interrupted Amelia with a shake of her head. Wait, I suppose! If it really is that girl's book, then searching for her all in a hurry is meaningless, in fact. You know the meaning of a book being added here, I suppose.
So, because of that, Ram went searching for us in Julius's group?
In the middle of this, Meili waltzes in looking all innocent. Then you can take this as being Betty's childish misunderstanding, in fact. Amelia's momentum steadily drained out of her as she listened to Beatrice calmly pointing these facts out. Still, with a fretful look across her pale face, Amelia clasped her hands against her chest, as if in a prayer. She hoped that the book from the bookshelf was not Meili's, clinging on to the hope that it belonged to someone who happened to have the same name. However, Natsuki Subaru knew that hope was ephemeral. Subaru was frantically turning his head back and forth between Amelia and Beatrice as they spoke. His thoughts were spinning around in circles. For the most part, he was thinking on how to get out of the situation, and whether he should keep the truth only to himself. As he had simulated before, he could not allow Amelia and the others to witness Meili's memories. It was a stroke of good luck that Beatrice had not seen them, but even so, it was only a matter of time until one of them would. It was a fact that Meili was dead. She would never appear in this library again with her nonchalant look. So of course, they would eventually get a chance to check the Book of the Dead. Before long, they would do it. If they looked into the book, Amelia and the others would accuse Subaru. Then, should he do something like disposing of Meili's book? No. He wished to avoid that. If it was true that the situation was exceedingly difficult, however, what was more problematic were Subaru's feelings. Subaru also had a great interest in the contents of the book. Currently, Subaru believed with certainty that Natsuki Subaru had been the one that had murdered Meili. If he were to look through Meili's records, he may be able to see Natsuki Subaru there. He could conceivably look at the literal form of the potential enemy lying inside him. Subaru's situation would change drastically if such a thing were possible. At least, he should be able to come up with a resolution. Hence, he was unable to allow Amelia or anyone else to read the contents of the book. Subaru must be the only one to experience the book's contents.
Someone call me because of commotion? Did something happen? Ah, Shala, you're here.
In the meanwhile, Shala had showed up at the library of Tegeta. Craning her neck, her black hair swinging about, Shala was greeted by Amelia and Beatrice, then noticing Subaru at the back of the library and waving her hand at him. At this moment, he thought her appearance overlapped with how Meili had entered the breakfast room this morning, and so Subaru turned his face away and resisted the urge to vomit.
Oh, what a cool response from Master! After spending such a passionate time together with me?
I'm quite interested in what happened between you and Subaru, but for now I'll postpone it, I suppose. Speak up if you've seen Meili anywhere, in fact. You were good friends with her, I suppose.
The ankle biter? Number 2? Her? Now that you mention it, haven't seen her for a while. I don't know what happened to her after this morning's breakfast.
Shala answered Beatrice's question by shaking both of her hands. Then, she placed her waving hands against her cheeks, and cocking her head, she said, "What's wrong with number 2? At hearing Shala's question, Amelia cast her gaze down in unease.
To tell you the truth, we found a book with Meili's name in the library. We haven't looked inside yet, but before doing that, we wanted to check whether she was okay. Oh, I see. Number 2 ended up dying? Well, that's troublesome to think about. There are many things you can die. Things like that just happen. No?
You. Looking quite indifferent to what was going on around her, Shala stated her opinion on the matters of life and death, paying zero consideration towards the distressed Amelia. Hearing what Shala had said, Amelia's cheeks stiffened, and Beatrice glared at Shala with an expression of anger. However, Shala did not pay any attention to how the two had reacted.
So, where is this important book? Once you look inside, you may know how to find where number 2 died indeed.
That's enough from you! Always talking like this.
Subaru was unable to look on without doing anything, and so he flared up at Shala's reckless remarks. Now Shala's behavior showed heartlessness too. Up until now, by no means could Subaru tell Amelia his thoughts. He had just about enough discretion to not open his mouth. As for Shala, she had no...
Don't get mad, Master. I didn't mean any offense. But practically the book is here, so shouldn't we do that?
At least after we all get together.
Even if you don't do it leisurely, isn't reading the book worth a shot? If it's about number 1's worries of not knowing what'll happen after reading it, then...
Subaru faltered, the strength of his rebuttal weakening as Shala pressed him for an answer. She cut off her speech and quietly sent Beatrice a sidelong glance. And then once again, she cast her gaze at Subaru. Her face continued to have an unreserved but non-malicious look on it.
Master should read the book. Master and that other pretty boy have already had their first experience the first time around this library, you know? Afterwards, there were no negative effects, right?
Her apple-sized breasts swaying, Shala took a step forward and brought her face right next to his. His breath was taken away by the woman's suggestion, and Subaru's brain once again began mulling over it carefully. Shala's suggestion was extremely reasonable for a woman with such an attitude. Naturally, it was unknown to him what sort of effect the books of the dead had on people after having read them. At least, there had been 2 people who had already experienced it. There should be enough value in trying to read it. Of course, it was entirely possible that this experience of Subaru's had snatched away his memories, triggering the separation between Natsuki Subaru and his current self. If that really was the case here, it would be odd that Julius had not experienced any of these unusual phenomena. But by no means would he conceal his memory loss like Subaru had done. It was a great leap of imagination to come to such a suspicion. There was no relation between the influence of the Books of the Dead and his loss of memories. Making this conclusion was no issue at all in this situation. Thus, with that being the case, her suggestion had come as a lifesaver.
Certainly, what Shula said may have a grain of truth in it.
Subaru, are you really going to do it, in fact? Up until this time, you shared meals with that companion, I suppose. If you were to take advantage of Shala's words, for the time being, he could break through the first obstacle. Being the first one to read Meili's Book of the Dead, and making sure he was the last and only one to read it, then what Subaru had done would remain hidden inside his mind. However, that was where Beatrice's genuine worry for him entered into the fold. She was concerned about Subaru's spirit being damaged. Until now, the dead that Natsuki Subaru had seen here were people he had only a shallow relationship with. There was a big difference between that and Meili. They had journeyed together. They had talked to each other. They had eaten their meals together. She was that kind of comrade in arms. Beatrice was concerned about what sort of mental trauma would befall Subaru if he were to see her death with his own eyes.
I'll be fine. Don't worry. As Shula said, I'm the best person to do it. Most likely.
To Beatrice's concerns, Subaru straightened his cheeks so that he looked serious and nodded. Certainly, looking at the memories of a deceased person whose face one knew could very likely cause someone to have mental trauma or abnormalities, it might have been unbearable to a decent person.
But that's not the case with me. It's not.
For Subaru now, the journey with Meili, the words he had exchanged with her, the meals eaten alongside her, by no means was she that kind of comrade in arms to him. For these few hours, he had behaved as if he was acquainted with her. They had shared 2 or 3 meals together, and sometimes she'd give him reassurance, helping him a bit, but that was the extent of their relationship. She was just an unfamiliar little girl to him. He would not receive any mental trauma from seeing her death.
I'm still against this. If we really, really have to, then it shouldn't be Subaru, but me.
Amelia wants to look at it. Betty will oppose it, in fact. If someone must look at it... it's frustrating, but Julius or Subaru are our safest bets, I suppose. But if you had seen how Julius looked this morning, you'd probably want to erase him from the list of candidates here, in fact.
Beatrice?
Amelia, who looked quite dispirited, trailed off into silence at hearing Beatrice's reasoning. At least, Beatrice seemed to have chosen to respect Subaru's will. However, due to what had happened just before, Amelia knew that Subaru's condition was quite unstable. Therefore, Subaru shook his head vertically at Amelia, whose amethyst eyes showed deep concern that would not disappear.
I will look. Perhaps it's only a misunderstanding. And if you read it in high spirits, then maybe nothing will happen.
If anything happens, I'll tear the book from you at once. I'll pull your hair as well.
I'd prefer much more if you'd call out to me and shake my shoulders instead.
With Amelia's superhuman strength, if she were to pull his hair, the back of Subaru's head would become a permanent desolate wasteland. And then, after retorting with such light-hearted words, Subaru faced the bookshelf. Unchanged, Meili's book remained there, emitting a strange presence. To start with, at the times he had happened to catch a glimpse of it, he had seen it as just an ordinary plain book. But now, from the strange aura the book had, it felt as if he could instinctually recognize the name. At any rate, he could not rely on just his senses. Thus, Subaru picked up the book to search into what he could not rely on in himself. Behind him, Emilia and Beatrice were holding their breaths. Shala had her hands behind her head, watching over Subaru's decision with a carefree expression. While taking a look at these three individuals, Subaru took a deep breath, and he placed his hand on the front cover of the thick book, which looked rather like a dictionary.
Let's go.
As if trying to persuade himself to do it, Subaru muttered this and opened the book. His consciousness went dark.
Ever since the woman had been aware of what was around her, there had been nothing. There had been no one around. There were no men, women, adults, children, elders, babies. No one at all. Alone in the dark, black forest. The woman was all alone. Being able to stand up and walk, being able to speak, being able to cry out in order to live. The woman was not able to do any of these things. All of these things were far away, unknown to the woman, vanished beyond oblivion. If she did not know how to speak, she could not know how to mourn. If she did not know how to walk, she could not know how to resist. If she did not know how to live, then there was no reason for her to know about dying. Therefore, the woman had no choice but to be snatched away by the fangs of a beast. The meaning both life and death not being brought to this woman. The beast had a horn on its head, and this hideous, vicious beast of slaughter was continuously engaged in ferocious slaughter. The woman did not know why this beast had not crushed her throat with its fangs, and had instead dragged her by the nape of her clothing back to its lair. However, choices which were not supposed to exist were born, and the woman's fate was decided under the beast's. She did not know any words, so she did not know how to mourn. She did not know how to walk, so she did not know how to resist. However, as she knew a way of living, she did not believe she would die. Before she knew it, the woman had followed the murderous beast and became their queen, and had dominated the entire region, assailing their prey whenever she wanted, eating whenever she felt hungry, killing whenever she felt like it, sleeping whenever she wanted to sleep, living the way she wanted to, killing the way she wanted to. She was raised amongst the motherhood of slaughter. In the past, she had lost the memory for the reason of her existence. She had been reduced to something like nothing, something that had no need for anything, like a symbol, that sort of stuff. At this rate, she believed that for better or worse, she would die alone. as one of these beasts.
This welcome is far warmer than what I thought it would be. However, I do not mean to hurt you.
It was a girl in black, covered with blood-reeking devilishness. It was a girl in black. With a mere action of her hand, the woman who led the group of beasts was deprived of everything she had by that black girl. Blood and flesh overflowed. Dying throes scorched the sky, and the smile of the girl in black began to be coated in their jets of blood. Without knowing how to do anything, the woman, once again, was in a position where she had nothing.
I've been told to take you back with me. That's why I shall have you accompany me.
The girl in black forcefully took the woman who had nothing. She took away the place where she had lived for a long time. The beasts she had spent so long with. The place where she had been herself. Even after all that, the woman still could not do anything. She did not know any words, so she did not know how to mourn. She did not know how to walk, so she did not know how to resist. She had lost the way of survival. So, this time, she may have no choice but to die.
How to mourn, how to resist, how to live, you lost all of those. No way, no way. I couldn't care less for however many dull excuses you come up with.
That made her regret not knowing how to mourn.
Mourn for this lovely lady's sake. Resist for this lovely lady's sake. Live for the sake of this loving, lovely lady.
That made her regret not knowing how to resist.
If you're saying that you've lost everything, forgotten everything, parted with everything, then this lovely lady will just have to discipline you, won't I? That's a mother's duty after all.
That made her regret forgetting how to live, and that her inability to think about how to die. More hellish than that, more nightmarish than nightmares, more evil than evil. As for that, Mother gave all sorts of discipline, not for the sake of the woman, but for the sake of herself. Mother did not lie. Mother was impartial. Mother used every possible means to be loved. Mother, however, just used a distorted version of those means. She remembered words. How to mourn got peeled away. She remembered how to walk. How to resist was painted away. She remembered how to live. It was etched into her ear, so that there would be no more hope to be had of a way of dying.
Sorry, Tealdi, this one's actually your line. We messed that up. You can read it.
Okay. Please stop being under the complete control of that person. Because, besides me, surely, no matter how many lives one gets, they would end up being insufficient.
Suddenly, once she had remembered the way of words, and the way of walking, and the way of living, she had met again the girl in black. The girl in black had often shown her face to the woman. Before she even noticed, she was acting in in accompaniment of the girl in black much more than before. She remembered when she was thrown into warm water before meeting Mother for the first time. Covered in blood, mud, and dirt, the merciless girl in black had sloppily rinsed her of the irremovable dirt. Or perhaps that had been the lost sense of freedom the woman had felt. Mother's intentions made it clear that she wanted the woman to be aligned with the girl in black. The girl in black was abnormally strong. Her way of killing was excellent. She knew more on how to kill rather than how to live. Everything else except for that was estranged from her.
Here. Well, it's better to leave it to you.
In a single event would shape everything else that had happened. Or that's how it felt like. She was undisciplined. She was not strict. She was quite a handful as a companion. She could not take her eyes off her companion. She was not faithful to Mother, not just in how she killed, but also in how she lived. There was freedom therein. She had seen hell. She had seen nightmares. She had seen evil. For her whole life, the woman thought she would never forget the horror. While she was together with the black girl, while she went along and helped this undisciplined girl, it felt like that was engraved in her would fade away. But Elsa died. She had died. She had returned to the ashes and died. The girl in black who would never die, even when she was killed. No, towards the end, that girl was Elsa. Died. She had died. She had turned to ashes and died. She had a spear stuck in her belly. She had lost both of her arms from her shoulders, and she had also saw with a broken neck. Still, Elsa did not die. She thought she would never die. Died. She had died. She had turned to ashes and died. She had also endured Mother's training. She had also endured hell and the nightmares and the horror. But Elsa had died. She was going back to being alone. She had lost her herd. She had lost Elsa. She was all alone. Died. She had died. She had turned to ashes and died. Killed. She had been killed. She had been turned to ashes and killed. Those who had turned Elsa to ashes had captured the woman and imprisoned her. Alone, inside a dark room, the woman questioned the void around her. Hate. Hateful. Hatred? The feeling of hatred. What does it feel like? sadness, sorrow. The feeling of sorrow. What did it feel like? She did not know how to mourn. She did not know how to resist. Even for herself, she did not know the value of life. It was like this from the beginning. Before Elsa had died, before she could recognize the girl in black was Elsa, before meeting Mother, before beginning her training, before her herd of beasts had been destroyed by the girl in black, before she had begun to lead the herd of beasts, before her life was saved by the whim of a beast. Ever since the time she had been torn away from who were supposed to be her real mother and father, the woman had been a defective product. The woman was set adrift, living. When she had been a beast, when she had imitated the way of living of a beast. After being trained by Mother, she had done exactly what she told her to do. And even after she started to spend time with her, with Elsa, she had imitated the way she spoke. She had imitated her. Imitated. From the beginning, this woman had been that kind of creature. A humanoid creature that imitated people. She had behaved as others desired. The woman was capable of imitating others. She was a mere sham of the people she imitated. She had the form of a person, but was nothing like a person. Kill the bastard! She wondered if that was what she was thinking. Pursuing him, she wondered if she was thinking that in that matter. She wanted to imitate someone who had murdered Elsa. She wanted to precisely know what to do in regards to Elsa's death. She wanted to imitate. She wanted to see what was the correct norm. What she could do. She had lost Elsa. Who should the woman imitate now? Time passed, and still she did not understand. Meanwhile, while keeping up her appearances on the outside, the woman was a woman who continued to exist for the desires of those in her surroundings. She wished for change. If the events changed, if her situation changed, she may come to an answer. That or Mother may want her to die. That also may be okay. She had let herself be shaped up as requested, as they desired, as if she was adrift. Then, if Mother desired it, she could also take her life in which she could not find any particular value in it. She hated it. She hated ending it right there, ending it here. She hated it. A feeling of impatience burned her heart. Her desiring soul demanded her own desires. At the very least, she wanted to know the answers. the answer to what she shouldn't do. Now that Elsa had been murdered, would be...
Oh, so you came here too?
At night, in the library inside the Tower of Sand, in the place where the books of the dead were, a voice came from behind her. Behind her, there stood a familiar black-haired boy who she knew well. Her heart jumped in that instant. She noticed it herself, deep down, that she was afraid. If he were to ask why she was there, she could not answer questions such as whose book she herself was searching for her to have come here secretly.
I just kind of had a book I wanted to look for. I really shouldn't have asked the others for help, though. I couldn't stand the feelings of restlessness, and...
The boy was saying something. With a smile and a head tilt, she hid her exalted heartbeat, pretending, as always.
Don't stay up too late.
As she was told that, she left the library, slowly walking away, then quickening her pace, and in the end, running. He saw what she had been doing. He knew what she had been doing. He realized what she had been doing. Biting her nails and furrowing her brow, the woman squatted and calmed her breathing. She did not wish to be seen. She did not wish for it to be known. She did not wish for it to be noticed. But she had abandoned everything. The woman understood why it was that she had come all the way to this place. And it was all the more reason to change everything she knew and start all over again, abandoning anything and everything. The urge controlled her head. As she repressed emotions were left to grind on her molars, the woman turned around. Going back through the road she had just ran through, her legs gradually relaxed, and she eventually initiated a slow walk. Finally, walking so gently so as to eliminate the sound of her footsteps, she returned to the library where the books of the dead were. With his back facing her way, the black-haired boy was sitting on the ground. With how many books scattered around the ground, had he already found the book of the dead he was looking for? Already guessing that, she felt jealous. But before he notices her, she definitely has to...
You're so damn shallow.
Letting herself be controlled by feelings of desperation, she felt like blaming her impulsive actions. As she stopped her feet, all there was before her eyes was the black hair on the back of the boy's unturned head. She was supposed to have come back without making a sound, having held her breath. It was true that she did not hold a candle to Elsa, but even then, the woman could at least erase the sound of her footsteps. Then how had he found out? All of her thoughts became jumbled. She had just come here while eliminating the sound of her footsteps, and he had still seen through her with his back to her. What kind of explanation could she give now? No. Even then, she should have said something. There was still her training. It would have been fine if she had just come here. No matter what, the woman had been brought along by the boy. She was also supposed to take that into consideration. With a timid smile and a head tilt, she hid her exalted heartbeat, pretending as always.
Don't try to suck up to me. It's disgusting. Nobody would want you doing that to them.
He cut off her train of thought and shut her up. She pondered, her thoughts whirling around. What did the black-haired boy mean?
Don't give me that composed face, submissive little doll. Are you going to ignore that desire in the depths of your own heart?
Desire was in the depths of her heart. Why did hearing him point that out weigh on her so awfully heavily?
devote yourself to listening to your desire. If you do so, you'll see yourself a little more. And when you see yourself a little more, you'll know what you want to do.
She wanted to know what she wanted to do, to see herself. What she wanted to do, what she desired. That was...
Now! Oh, that's a nice face! Looks rich.
When she noticed, the black-haired boy had turned around and was standing right before the woman. The boy's hand grabbed onto one of the woman's hanging braids and stared at her with horrible eyes that held a perverted pleasure. She was unable to take her eyes off of those dark pupils in front of her.
If you understand your desire and begin to see who you really are, then you'll begin to act more like yourself. Your worries and anguish, I'll make sure to remember them.
Selfishly deciding what another person wished for, the boy declared so while putting the tips of the woman's hair to his lips. This filled her chest with a feeling of dread. However, a slight pain burned in her chest.
I'll make sure to remember them.
If she understood her own desires, if she properly came to see who she really was, could the woman become more like herself? Like what was supposed to be?
I wonder, just how seriously should I take what we talked about last night?
The sun had risen, she had finished her breakfast, and before they moved to the next examination in the tower, she contacted the black-haired boy. She had thought about it so much she could not sleep. She thought, but no matter what, she could not arrive to an answer. The boy greeted the woman in the morning almost like his attitude last night had never happened or something. So she had to make a special chance. She called out to him. Unable to control her restless feelings, at the very least, she needed to get him to a place where no one else could hear them. Then it might be better.
Not here. Let's change places.
That suggestion came from the boy. They changed places. As they entered the room, she wanted to question him about the meaning of his words from the previous night. Come to think of it, in the library last night, the boy had said something about intending to talk with everybody else.
Sorry.
Those words were whispered into her ear. Her light body was pushed down into the floor. Falling down, she hit her back on the floor, yet was unable to scream. Just as her field of vision was flickering like that, she saw the face of the boy getting on top of her. The smirk on his face was the most disgustingly fiendish thing she had ever seen.
Asking that directly is against the rules.
Her neck was gripped with a strong force. Her mouth was opening and closing, yet none of the air that was so important for her body was arriving. Writhing, struggling, she grabbed the hand on her neck and dug her nails in. Desperately, she kicked her legs. She could not move nor push him off. But if she were Elsa, she could deal with him.
This time, it was a loss because of a rule break. But I hope you'll act even bolder next time. Do your best, as you always have.
She did not understand what he meant. What was he talking about? What was he saying? What was he telling her?
My, oh my! This is going to be very interesting! The Natsuki Subaru murder mystery.
I'm being killed. My understanding can only reach so far. I'm going to be killed. In the end, could I do anything at all? Killed. When I was hunting in that forest, what did I do? Killed. Meaninglessly unable to do anything. Being killed. It was fun. Killed. It was enjoyable. Be killed. Like I was part of some childish game. Being killed, 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 killed.
I'll kill you!
In an instant, his head jumped back as if being flicked away and fell backwards. What was being held in his hands was dropped. He saw the world go round in circles. He took a pained breath. His lungs were having panic spasms at his labored breathing.
Hey, Subaru?
As he was remembering the painful shock, the silver-haired girl rushed over to screaming in pain. She was followed by a girl with light-colored hair. Both came and propped him up at the same time.
What? Just how? What?
Deep breath. Take deep breath. Fact. You don't need to force yourself to talk, I suppose. Amelia, do not touch that book under any circumstances, in fact. His eyes were going in circles, and foam was sprouting from the corner of mouth as the girl, Beatrice, desperately called out to him. Beatrice called out to the silver-haired girl, Amelia, who was reaching for the book. Yes, Amelia once again nodded and retracted her hand away after all.
But Beatrice, Subaru's looking weird. This book is...
That's exactly the reason why. It would be troublesome if Amelia were to fall into the same condition, I suppose. It's probably quite likely that he ended up diving in too deep, in fact. He's confusing how he talks, I suppose. At Beatrice's analysis, Amelia's cheeks stiffened and she gulped. Following that, she swiftly came to side and held onto his cheek, meeting his eyes with her own pupils.
Subaru, remember. You're okay. You're Natsuki Subaru, my knight. You're clueless about the world and broke beyond compare. You get along with everybody, and you're...
Amelia started picking through her memories, hysterically bringing up everything she could. While hearing her say all of that, Subaru began to recall himself.
Amelia? Beatrice? I am... me, right? I'm not her! I am... without Elsa.
You're doing fine. Stay calm. Everything's fine. Slowly, okay?
Like a splinter, slowly pull out those lodged memories, in fact. And then, you'll be able to come back to the normal Subaru, I suppose. Amelia and Beatrice talked to Subaru. Yes, Subaru. They talked to Subaru. While those words were reaching his ears, somehow, he sorted through all he had seen just now. Sorting through them, doing it somehow, down to the very end, the memories, the moment his life was extinguished.
Amelia-sama, apologies for making you wait. I heard about it from Miss Rom on the way.
Is it true that you found a book with the girl's name?
Then Julius, who was running up the stairs, arrived. Julius and Echidna arrived. Then Rom, being at the end of the group, caught up. The name of the absent Meili was mentioned. To those three people, Amelia and Beatrice started explaining the current situation. Shallow was silently staring at a book lying at her feet, to which she was indifferent. She narrowed her black eyes. There was not a single hint of emotion in that stare. She was simply silent, silently staring towards it. That's the end.
Yay!
Amazing job, guys! Amazing work, Carmen!
Pachi, pachi, pachi!
Yay!
Good job,
Very good.
everybody! So good, so good.
Natsuki
Oh.
Subaru is on the scene.
It's a Natsuki Subaru murder mystery!
On the case.
It is.
Agatha Christie wishes she could.
Funny you say that.
My throat is dead after that one.
Condolences.
The amount of water I just drank. Oh my goodness.
Gulp, gulp, gulp.
I don't
chug,
blame
chug,
you,
chug, chug.
Common.
That was a lot to go through.
Yeah, I mean, despite the page counts not being too long for each of these chapters, they do, like, they just feel longer because of the events.
And the amount of acting required.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We've all
Name
trained for this
chapters
day.
again.
This
Yes.
chapter covered a grand total of 2 minutes of
Yeah.
actual time in the story.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true.
La 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 la. la.
Listening
Murder
time,
mystery.
45 minutes. Actual time, 2.
So we got to see Freaky Brew.
Yeah, he freaky.
Subaru. I don't know about doing that with a child.
Why did you say it like that, dog?
This is why he's in the basement.
Oh, you said the silent part out loud, damn it.
I meant the kissing the hair part, not the murder. The murder part's fine.
Subaru's hungry!
Nom nom nom.
How hungry.
So hungry. Yeah,
Hungry enough to eat a what?
So who's excited for Capella's return? At least in the backstory.
I
Yeah.
didn't throw up this time.
You did amazing.
Very
She came
good.
back. She's real.
Thank you. TLD, welcome back to Elsa. Glad you enjoyed.
Elsa's totally dead, but hey.
That bitch is
Or
dead!
she?
Ding dong, the bitch is dead.
Y'all got 3 lines, and that's probably going to be the end of it.
That's what you think.
Yeah,
I don't know.
well, I don't know.
She has a weird.
I haven't read
little...
anything. Everything is literally fresh as we go every
That
reading.
is true.
True, right.
In a
You're
way, that must be
completely
really
right.
fun, though, I imagine. Just like it always being
Yeah.
fresh and you.
Yeah, it's like, ooh, what's going to happen now?
What's gonna happen today?
That's how you know the emotions are genuine. She's going along. She's reacting along with you guys.
Yeah, I don't even like pre-read the chapters before the stream. It's literally like jump in, read it as it is, be
And
surprised
go.
along the way, keep it together, let's go.
Panics partway through. Can't even tell.
Yeah.
Oh God, this happened.
And
Jesus.
I heard the extended silence. It's like I should probably read that line. I should probably read that line. Nope, they didn't tell me to. Maybe they're having issues on their end. I should probably read that line.
I was like, how
Sorry,
likely
you made a little
would
mistake, can you?
I was like, how likely would she have refreshed? I was like, small.
Not much.
chances.
No.
Are we fine?
That's okay. It was
We're
an
not
easy
fine.
fix. I was like, I could take
I
it
was-
as Elsa, but also let me just call her. Let me just reach out real quick.
It's like, yeah, oops, okay.
So
That's why we do live recordings and not live readings. It's the difference for this one.
Yes.
We're coming back to these bad boys this summer. You guys have already started them, which is excellent. Thank you.
Can I just skip 40 chapters? Thank you.
Yeah, let me just edit my name chapter now.
Carmen's
I know
already
there's all
got
this
like the
backlog,
most
but I want this
amazing
one.
fucking storyboard for Meili's chapter.
I think we can claim this chapter as yours, Common. This is yours. You
Oh,
earned
yeah.
it.
Nothing is
just
stopping
fucked
you
up at
from
the end.
doing months later of work ahead of time. It will just mean that you
Exactly.
are slightly ahead for 40 chapters.
Future you will thank you.
Yes.
I will also be helping with the editing grind. soon
Also,
enough.
early arc 6 is like it's like actually going through it is important, but it just doesn't. It's not hitting as hard as this part does.
Mhm.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that in between segue. It's like, okay, this adventure's
setup.
done. Now we're moving on to this one.
To
You
the
got to
next
do the
one,
setup.
yeah.
You got to get there. Yeah, it's
mean, I don't know
necessary,
about-
but not.
I don't know about y'all. I love the journey here. Like the whole trek.
Oh,
to the desert,
I love
like,
the
that's
I love
my
the
favorite
character
part.
interactions and stuff. I think it's a lot of these very shocking moments are just so like memorable in comparison. Whereas when I think of the start of Arc 6, I think of most of it as like a uniform thing of
Dimly
all
veiled
cool
Yowie.
character interactions. When I think of these chapters, I think of the individual moments. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I cannot say that I do. This part is a bit of a blur for me for all of it merging together. I read through this section so quickly.
Trauma.
I just want happiness again. I love ReZero happiness.
No.
The pain is
The
worthwhile.
happiness can't feel as good without the pain, though.
More trauma.
More trauma.
The Rem high moment in Arc 3 was only that much of a high moment because of how bad Betelgeuse tortured the guy. We
True.
gotta do it even worse.
To pay
Like,
no
look, we got. It's always bigger and better. Well, not
Bigger and
better,
better.
but it's
Yeah.
always bigger, more extravagant, always more.
To pay
And
just
now
loves our stuff.
Subaru has downloaded Meili's information into his brain.
Lucky him.
Yep.
Yep. Lucky. That's unlucky.
Also,
We got to see Elsa again, but without the imminent death.
Yes,
Meili
thank
and
God.
Elsa's mother being Capella makes so much sense. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not expect it, but it makes so much sense.
yeah.
I mean, how else would she know like Elsa down to the exact details during Arc 5 if she didn't like know her personally?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
Although
God,
that
I
was
never
cut
realized
from the-
that.
Yeah, it's
Was
foreshadowing.
that Capella taking over as Elsa and it wasn't just Garf's imagination?
No, that was
No,
Garf's
no, no.
imagination.
That
And
was
That
Garf's
part was
imagination.
Garf's
There was
trauma.
I was
there
like,
was an
what?
entire
it's
part
the
where...
fight with Al in the web novel.
Yeah.
She's like
Yes.
disguised as Elsa.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Garfield was just tweaking out. He was just tweaking out.
He was
That
having
was
Garf
on
is
him.
tweaking.
He's a
He had too much
15-year-old who's
lasagna
killed
in the
somebody.
Poor buddy.
Yes. Subaru might as well be a 15-year-old who killed someone right now.
If you round the age down and combine them or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
around that
Average
bit.
age between him and Meili is like 15. Yeah.
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 Yeah, put them together. You know, you're gonna traumatize 15-year-old.
I mean, with Arc 1 Subaru's
math is
maturity, maybe
mathing.
like 10.
Math is math.
Yeah.
yeah, maybe.
I mean, Amelia does
he
think
brings
he's
the
12
average
when they
down.
first meet.
She does,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
To be fair, that's also a benefit of the fact that people age just so much faster here because of all the stress and the survival, whereas modern convenience Subaru over here looking young as heck. That's a real phenomenon, by the
Yeah.
way. Like, people age
It's-
so much
it's-
slower today, like, visibly, in comparison to the past. It's crazy.
It's that, and Amelia is also still rocking the perspective of a 14-year-old herself. So if she sees Subaru with the same physical
Yeah.
appearance as her, she's going to assume young.
Yeah, she's
Your
because she
hands are
assumes
so
that he's
smooth,
her peer, right?
Subaru.
Poor
Mhm.
boy, you have such wonderful hands.
They're so smooth.
It's a lot nicer
Wow.
than Amelia's like, your hands are really weak and pathetic, like they've never worked a day in their life. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, well, she could never say something that mean. Unless it was like Pandora.
Web
or
novel
something.
Amelia did.
Web novel Amelia
She
is
would.
brutal.
Yeah, early web novel
Amelia
Amelia,
doesn't know
it just
difference.
is not canon anymore. Like-
I love web novel
No.
Amelia. Bring her back. She was so fun.
She's a bit mean.
I love that.
I think that's fun.
He's sassy, not mean.
Yeah, sassy. That's a better one. Subaru likes being sassed on.
Checks out.
Someone in chat put Subaru's even collecting other people's traumas.
Like Pokemon.
Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all.
Yep.
Pokemon.
Let me just make this character's
Trauma
backstory really
catcher.
fucked up so Subaru can get really fucked up by it.
Yep.
It's
That's the
all
benefit of
character
Return by
development,
Death.
guys. It's fine. He'll be okay.
BRB.
Suffering
Eventually he'll
builds-
be okay.
or Suffering builds character, suffering builds character.
No pain, no gain.
Characters are built off of suffering.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And Subaru.
Any fanfic author.
hmm
So what if we made this
Don't
grimdark?
you out me.
So we gotta make it, and then we gotta beat the shit out of him, and then we gotta beat the shit out of him again, and then we gotta beat the shit out of him again.
That's why there's like a whole subsection that's titled Hurt/Comfort.
hmm
Usually it's just hurt though.
Well, yeah,
Well,
there's
it's
a different one called Hurt No Comfort.
Yeah, that's just a pure misery.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
That's when
there's
you're feeling
divisions
extra
among
depressed that
divisions.
day and you don't want to feel better about it. You want to really indulge in
Yeah,
it.
it's like, no, I just need to mull in this. Let
Yeah.
me marinate in my sadness for a bit.
let me for real. Let me marinate in my sadness.
Let me just get fucked up. Yeah, okay.
Typically,
That checks
though,
out.
Just
we
pure
like
wump.
we like the hurt/comfort more because the hurt makes the comfort feel better.
Exactly.
3-0.
That's recent. Literally, that's
And
recent.
we cracked the code! Go!
The source code's been cracked.
Holy shit.
Appreciate you to pay. Time to write my own. Woo!
The real question is when Subaru gets a fucking break. That's like what you ask the entirety of literally any of the arcs. It's just
got a
when
break
is
for
bro
a
gonna get cut a
year?
break?
Previously.
He did.
He took
1 year.
all of his breaks at once. Now there's nothing left.
A break with comatose Rem is hardly a break.
Yeah. That's like the unpaid
got-
lunch break.
He got the month between arcs 2 and 3, and that's basically it so far.
Without
that's
any
the paid
things
15-minute
deeply
break.
on his mind apart from the trauma he suffered. But that's its own thing.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Also, if you're
That's
lurking
the
in chat,
Amazon 15 minutes right before you work your last 90 minutes.
Mhm. If you're lurking in the chat, by the way, just want to shout out and thank Serious Simp for boosting the server twice in a row. Appreciate that a lot.
Goated.
Thank you so much.
Cute.
Boosting the server genuinely really helps because I believe it improves the audio quality for everyone in a server call.
It does. It does.
Oh, nice.
Kind of,
At
kind
a
of an
certain
important
threshold,
thing.
yeah. This is a difficult period of time for Amnesia Baru.
Yeah.
Getting hard confirmed that, yeah, all your suspicions about yourself are correct. You did kill her and possess yourself to do it.
Yeah, you killed her. You kind of like.
And not only
you
did you
kinda
kill her, you
said some weird
enjoyed
shit to her
doing
in the
it
library.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you
Like,
kinda
I don't
said
think
some
I've
weird
ever
shit in the
seen,
library about this.
Natsuki Subaru having so much fun before as when he's strangling Meili to death.
Yeah.
He looked so happy, or he sounded so happy at least. Sorry, I had a
Good
time
times.
skip where I suddenly saw the anime in a year from now. My bad. He looked so happy, yeah.
It's like, oh, look at him. He's just a happy little guy.
Oh,
just
my
a
bad.
happy
Sorry,
little
guys.
fella.
Going to read. Happy little
And
fella.
before the anime makes the decision to swap the voice actor there, just to give away the surprise
Oh, boo.
fucking episodes early.
No, they're not going to do that because, and the reason they're not going to do that is because Subaru's VA has done that before.
Yeah, I know.
Mhm.
So, boom.
Precedents don't
Oh,
mean
my
squat
buddy.
with anime productions.
Can you imagine if this is just Geese backpacking him? Hold on, wait a minute.
Someone mentioned that in chat
Yo,
earlier. That they
yo.
had come in not realizing we were doing Arc 6 instead of Arc 5, and like, I guess Betelgeuse is back now.
Oh, no.
Yo.
This-
When you find out your goat still has it.
Yes.
Yes.
He's the goat. The goat comeback. If this was, dude, if this was Metal Geese just randomly possessing him again, I mean,
Yeah.
Arc 3, multiply by 2, you get Arc 6. Yo, Return of the King, my man.
The Return of the
Geese.
King!
I wish it was him. I wish it was him.
I wish it was normal juice. Normal
wish-
juice
yeah.
super
I wish we could
interactions
get
would
another
have been
chance to be gay.
wholesome.
They would have been. Unfortunately,
They could have been.
we're only
friends.
getting tweaking out versions of him after, Arc 4 and I guess technically Arc 5 where we saw like a glimpse of him.
Like
So
in
that's where you were.
many characters that have either died at the early part of the story or before the story even begins. Man, seeing some interactions between them and Subaru would have been super wholesome, but I guess not.
Wish I could have seen you. And instead, we
I wish
only
Subaru
get
could have met
lampshading
Fourier.
of people that.
Me too. I wish.
Wholesome if needs to
Fourier.
be written.
Subaru, you should have got some of the failures earlier.
He should have. It's his fault. Fucker.
Yeah.
He can't do anything right.
Piece
He
of
doesn't even get
shit.
summoned at the right time.
Yeah, why couldn't he have stopped going to middle school instead of high school?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we get preteen Baru instead.
Well, no, so middle school in Japan goes up to freshman year in high school in America. So it is a bit
That's
older than
fair.
that.
Mm-hmm. Subaru would just be on the path towards some deeper issues.
He would be Felt's age, except that he would be younger because he showed up earlier. So
He'd still be like kind of fucked up. He'd be at the point where he's realizing that no one wants him around. And everyone starts leaving him. Poor dude.
mm-hmm.
Wow, seems like everyone's leaving him at the moment. Interesting.
Interesting.
Maybe he should stop rejecting all the care and affection that everyone's been giving in the past few chapters. Jesus Christ.
I mean, look, this
Connor?
like this guy.
For the past 10
Go
minutes,
ahead.
dude, I'm getting the vibe that you're like Subaru's therapist sitting on the chair across from him and just like being like, well, did you know that you could talk to people about your feelings? So, let me get this right. Oh, wow, that's a lot of trauma. Ooh, boy, I'm getting paid for a long time.
Like, hold on, let me just consult your file. Oh, well, hey, my kids are going to college now.
See, Natsuki
I got time to
Konichi's
work on
credit
ya.
card has passed, so we're totally good to go.
Yep.
Woohoo!
And then he's like, wait, you mean that, Natsuki Konichi? And then Subaru walks out the office.
Oh, I've watched him at track events all the time.
I was gonna say, man, cut him some slack. Subaru doesn't even know that Beatrice is a spirit again, and then I remember, yeah, man, he doesn't even know what a spirit is. Fuck,
You don't even know what that fucking is, yeah.
he doesn't even know what a spirit is.
Dang it.
He was operating on like before
Nothing.
Loop 1
Genuinely
information.
nothing. And not in a good scenario for
Yeah.
him to learn any of it, either.
He has less information than he did when he died in the first loop of Arc 1. Back then, at least he knew what spirits were.
This is mostly unrelated, but the conversation has reminded me. A good friend of mine, who was also learning Japanese a few years ago, was trying to answer the question from his tutor's family on what kind of girls he likes, and he meant to say he likes them spirited, like Genki girls. But the term for
Oh, no.
spirit he used is the same one used for spirits here in ReZero, which closely
Oh,
translates
no.
to ghosts. So he said dead
like
girls.
ghosts.
I
I like
love
dead girls.
Oh
Dead
no!
girls do it for me.
Ooh.
They probably went, okay, let's get a new gaijin in.
Let's
And then-
never
and
mention
then
this again.
Yeah, and then they were like in their head, oh, so he likes it when they don't tool back. Interesting.
No.
Oh.
They actually just asked if he was a necromancer, like genuinely making fun of him.
Oh, what, like an actual necromancer?
Yeah, like a dark wizard.
That's so funny.
Are you a wizard?
I'm a wolf.
Fuck.
No, I went to school to be a healer, but I'm just really bad at my job.
I'm just a little late.
I'm just so good at killing.
And then I can
That's all
only
necromancy
like
is. It's just
them
really
healthy,
late
but-
healing.
Yeah.
yeah, after they're dead. Like I'm only good at healing them after they die. So I mean,
My
you
spells
have
only
to,
work
like-
on objects.
You gotta
so...
let them pass the threshold. Give it
Can you
like
imagine it's
5
like
more
an
minutes, and then
insurance?
it's my time to shine.
It's like an insurance
you can speak as
package.
cadaver.
So like
Yay.
if you pay your insurance, you get the full revival. It's a-okay, not much different effects. If you don't, just being an undead zombie for you, I'm afraid.
Oh yeah, like versus the premium private
The
insurance
premium,
versus the
yes,
standard,
exactly.
the standardized like lowest level.
The
Like, look,
state-sponsored
best I can
necromancy.
do is zombies.
The poor people
yeah.
only get to see their relatives after they die.
Mm.
You're too poor. Sorry, you can't afford having your.
Basic
even-
plot for you.
I mean,
Did you ever think about just working harder though?
Rough.
I mean, you can see him after he dies. It's just like he is also going to join my army afterwards. So,
Yeah.
like, I'll give
It's
you
like,
a chance
I've
to
got-
talk with like the dead zombie dad, but like, I'll have to take him. You know, like after that.
Yeah, sorry.
It's a whole
I'm
thing.
busy. I can't let this go on for too long. Sorry.
It's like, look, I've got bad news for you, great news for me.
Excellent news for
I
me.
get paid and my personal army goes up by 1. Bad news, you can see your loved one, you can say goodbye, but they're not going to answer you back. And we're on a schedule, so let's wrap it up.
Yeah, like you can see your dad. He's gonna have like his limbs chopped off. He's a bit rotting, and no matter what you say to him, he'll just go back. But he'll be here.
That means he
For like a
hears
few
you,
minutes.
so, he still has some of his neurons intact, but that won't last long. Take advantage of it now.
You should feel heard.
You should feel hurt.
On this note, I think it's a great time to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone,
Yeah.
for
So
being
unhinged.
here. Last day of
Thank you,
auditions,
everybody.
Friday, 27th, 3 p.m. EST.
Do it. Join
Get in your
us.
groupies
Join
now.
us! One of us! One of us!
One of us. One of us.
Bye.
You can be here.